So joining us now is our pal John McLaughlin from upstate New York. He is the pollster for Donald Trump, and he has brand new, just out today, exit polling information for us. First of all, I get a lot of mail. How do you do this? How do you do it? So you polled 1,000 voters earlier this month. How does that go down? Just briefly.
Well, that was between the 4th and the 6th. We did 1,000 voters who voted in the election, either early or on election day. And it's the one poll we can't get wrong because we have voter lists. We call them ahead of time. We know what the results are, and we get to target and weight it by the actual results.
How do you get a voter list? How do you get a voter list?
They exist. They're databases. There's databases of all Americans, consumers, et cetera. But every Secretary of State and every state keeps a voter list. It's updated. There's companies that sell you the data. I have to pay for the samples. So you pay for the samples. The Republican Party uses certain people. They have a company called Data Trust that keeps their data. There's other ones like I360, et cetera. They have every voter in the country. And we know like 5,000 to 7,000 pieces of information on each voter. We have a database.
Okay. So you got 50,
have a model of results.
You got 50 states, but you only have 1,000 recipients. So you get every state in there, or what do you do?
Yes, we do. Some states like Alaska get 1 or 2 calls. That's about it. But you proportion it by the actual vote, by the way it came out. Like you had mentioned that there were 153 million votes so far. There was just under 160 million in 2020. And we know who those voters are. There's 90 million more people that were eligible that still didn't vote, and but they're eligible and they're out there, and so we know who they are too. But Donald Trump won this race decisively.
Okay, and I don't think anybody quibbles with that. I think that is a known fact. Thank God for the country. We didn't want to go through what we went through in 20. Okay, so the first headline, and you correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just going by what our researchers came up with. Is that the primary reason Donald Trump was elected was the high prices in America. People are suffering because of that. Is that true?
Top issue, without a doubt. 4 or 5 voters said they were negatively impacted by it. Half struggling to just get by.
Okay. So if that's the case, why didn't the Democratic Party know that? Because they stayed away from that totally.
They caused it. They caused the inflation.
I know they caused it, but they could have made an excuse that COVID did this and that somebody did that. Putin did it. You know how they are. But they just stayed away from it.
They tried. Remember, she had a plan. They were going to go after price gouging, et cetera, like that. More big socialism.
All right. So they basically punted on that, the Democrats, and people recognized they had no solution, no known solution for this high prices. The second one was the reason that people voted for Kamala Harris wasn't for her, is because they hated Trump.
Right. And that's what our exit poll said, where virtually they were running a negative campaign. She didn't stand for anything. Trump, on the other hand, we were running a campaign. Remember, he was ahead. When we won the nomination in record style, I mean, it was like bigger than Reagan, bigger than anything else, blow away nomination. He was ahead of Biden then. And then he made the lead so much bigger that they forced him out. And what he did was he maintained that lead. A week out from the election, I had a conversation with him. I said, Mitt Romney was ahead by a point at this stage in the popular vote. He ended up losing. And Trump told me he's not Mitt Romney. And I said, you just got to make your putts. We've been ahead since the primaries. We're going to go ahead, and you have to just keep on driving it on the issues, reducing inflation, securing the border, lowering crime, ending the endless wars. And he ran on the issues. And his job approval in our post-election survey, which is on our website, McLaughlinonline.com, he had a 56% positive job approval, only 43 negative. Harris was a -1. Biden was like a -6.
When was that? When was that approval rating? When did you post it?
It's on our website now. That's from that.
No, but was that before the vote or after the vote?
That was after the vote. Before the vote, in the battleground states, we had Donald Trump net positive on his job rating, and Harris was a 43 approved, 53 disapproved. So we set up a contrast that Donald Trump could solve these problems, do the job, and she was part of the problem. She was Joe Biden. She was Joe Biden's vice
Yeah,
president.
she couldn't make any progress off him because she doesn't disagree with anything he did. Now, your survey shows abortion was hardly an issue at all in this thing, even though
Well,
the media tried to ramp that up. Folks, 6%, nothing.
right, because Donald Trump stayed in character. I mean, he basically he stood where he stood during the primaries when he was president, et cetera. He was going to leave it up to the states to decide. The Democrats poured probably $1 billion into ads saying we were going to have a national abortion ban. It wasn't true. The voters read through that. Plus, they had other more serious problems that they could see. You know, I said to anyone, if they were undecided on election day, go to the supermarket, go look at your rent, look
Yeah,
at your
sure.
utility bill, look at your mortgage, decide who
Look,
you're voting for.
but no doubt about it. It was the economy that drove it. Now, you were right on in everything that you predicted, all your surveys, all of that. Did Trump thank you? Did he give you a bonus? Did he call and say, "Hey, why don't you and your family go to Tahiti for a couple of weeks on me"? I mean, what did he do?
Well, we haven't spoken lately because I'm not looking for a job. Everybody else,
I
I've
know
got my job. I
everybody's
got my
looking for a
business.
job.
My goal was to make your predictions come true because you were giving them good advice. If you watch the
I
show.
give everybody good advice. I mean, I'm a nonpartisan advice giver, but he sometimes didn't think I gave him good advice because I don't just knee jerk it. You know, I'm not a choir master here, but I followed. You're giving me credit, but I followed your lead in the sense
Mhm.
that you must have been on a half dozen times since September 10th. Okay, and every time you were on, you were very specific, which puts you apart from most of these bloviators that work at the politics. And what you said bore out. I can't. I'm looking at your sheet here on the exit polling, so you must be a swami or something because you hit
No,
it.
no, we just ask the American voters. We have inside information. If you do the polls in an unbiased fashion, and if you look at what the people are saying, you always talk about the people. When the folks tell us that their top issue is inflation and they're worried about immigration and they're worried about crime and they're worried about wars, and if you've got the candidate that can solve those problems, because that's why Donald Trump was running, he
Sure.
cares deeply about the country. He's patriotic. He wants to go back to the good policies that he had as president, and he's going to do a better job this time
I hope so,
because
but he's got to be a little bit more contemplative before he dives into waters that are going to muddy his agenda. That's just my opinion. But let's get back to you. So you say, okay, it's easy, and you're saying that, but I'm going to
not
after you disappear from our program and we say goodbye, I'm going to run down all the polls that were wrong. Okay, and a lot of them, most of them were wrong.
Mhm.
So if you say it's easy and the folks are, what are these pinheads doing when they got it so wrong? Are they dishonest in your opinion?
By the way, it's not easy. It's you have to be careful how you do it. Statistics is an inexact science. I got an MBA in it. If you're careful and you know what you're doing and you have some experience how to read public opinion, it was right there. And it was really, I'm only as good as the people I work for. And Donald Trump, as you said it, was a historic president. You're going to have to add a whole nother chapter that may be longer at the end of your book.
Well, I'll do
Because,
something on it. But he doesn't know, in my opinion, or if he does, he hasn't stated it, how remarkable, that's the word, what he
yeah,
accomplished is in the context of history. I know.
it's right.
Maybe
You're exactly
someday you, me, and him can have some supper and say, do you have any idea what you pulled off here? Now, when you say what he pulled off, it sounds like he's a genius and this and that, and he may be, but it was the folks who did it. But
yes.
nobody has come close in this country or any other country that I can see, all right, to what he accomplished.
You're right.
It's a stunning story.
No, you're exactly right. Because in 2016, I compared him to Andrew Jackson, and he said 1824. Said no, 1828. But that was the election where Jackson he beat the establishment, the Republican establishment. He beat the Washington establishment.
Yeah, it'd be
Trump
Quincy
has now
and
beaten
the boys. Right. But it wasn't close to this because Jackson didn't have a hostile media and a hostile infrastructure in Washington, both working against him in dishonest ways. Jackson
Right.
didn't have that because he would have shot them dead. He would have kicked the door into the Tennessee newspaper and just shot all of them if they had done that. All right, John, you're the best. I got to tell you, I got to tell my audience, man, if I ever have any need for any poll, you're the guy I'm going to. So congratulations for all your success. And Trump should be sending you and your family to Tahiti. And I'm going to tell him that.
That's okay. I'll see you next season at a Yankee game.
All right. See you later. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on X. Look for @Bill O'Reilly.